Fitness or wellness coaches, listen, if you're operating an online coaching business model or a hybrid suite business model and you like, I know exactly what to do, but you're not executing consistently. And you have goals of doing $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 plus months. You've done 10K a couple months, maybe 15, maybe even 20 here or there. And it's easy for you to commit to a strategy, but consistently implementing it and executing it is what you struggle with the most. This may be the most important video that you watch this year. Hi, my name is Harry King Holmes, and I help fitness and wellness coaches enroll, align high ticket clients for their online or hybrid coaching offer using Instagram ads and sales systems. It's real easy for you to pick a strategy. That ain't the problem. Right? The problem ain't your strategy, right? You probably could use a better and much more aligned strategy, right? You're drawn to a lot of strategies, right? You're probably looking at my strategy, that strategy, this strategy, that. But when it comes to executing, that's where your problem is. But then you execute for 2 to 3 months and then you try a different strategy. You execute for 2 to 3 months, you try a different strategy. You can't be consistent with one, right? I know you've had that client before, right? The yo-yo dieting, they're trying this diet, that diet, that diet, that diet. Ozempic here, this, that, this coach, that trainer, right? They tried it all. And it's like, why am I not able to consistently lose weight and keep it off? Newsflash, all humans deal with this. It's just that certain people struggle with it in different areas. So if you're a business owner, this may be one area where you lack and you structure and you need some improvement. And that's totally okay. I've been there before too, right? Which is why I actually came up with this system that allowed me to make millions of dollars in the health, fitness, and wellness industry. Now, just to be honest, if you are not consistently doing 20 to 50K plus months, yes, you may have a strategy issue, but your biggest issue is most likely not just a strategy problem. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, if you watch my other video, I was talking about the 5 things that every single health, fitness, and wellness coach needs to focus on here in 2026 in order to dominate this year and in 2027 and beyond. And if you actually don't implement these things, you'll probably be out of business by 2027, right? Now, the 5 categories that you need to focus on and make improvements in were service, your offer, content and marketing, paid advertisement, and sales. Now you can go and watch that video. I actually put it right here for you to reference if you have not watched that video, right? But the last thing I was saying in that video is like, yes, you need to implement all of these things, but you won't actually be able to execute because you'll be missing this one important piece. Because in my 6.5 years of servicing health, fitness, and wellness coaches and professionals, this is where a lot of them get stuck. And back in 2018, I got stuck here too. But then I finally cracked the code in 2018 and really dialed things up in 2020. So this system is something that I share with all of my clients aside of just marketing and sales systems. So let's talk about what the real problem is. Let me know if this sounds familiar. As you're operating your business, you're showing up on social media, you're serving your clients, and if anything goes wrong, you have this feeling, like this emotional trigger that leads to things like procrastinating. Like you have a to-do list of things that you want to optimize, things that you want to, launch or make improvements on, but the to-do list never gets done. When it comes to certain tasks in your business, if that's advertisement, sales, marketing, whatever the case may be, sometimes you get some friction behind it because now self-doubt starts to creep in, or you start to compare yourself to other coaches and influencers that you see on social media. Or you finally decide to pick a strategy. You try it for 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 months, maybe even 6 months. And the next thing you know, you're trying a different strategy. And in the next 6 months, you're trying a different strategy. The next 6 months, you're trying a different strategy, and nothing seems to change. But yet you still say things to yourself, I know exactly what to do. But yet you still don't do it. What that is a lack of a CEO operating system. So you as the CEO of the business, of course, it's your job to choose what's the best strategy, the most aligned strategy for the actual business. Choose the client avatar. What problem are we solving? How in depth are we actually going to solve the problem? Who are we solving it for? What is our unique mechanism for actually solving the problem? How are we going to retain the client? All of these different things. It's your job to pick and choose that based on, the economy and all the information that's out there in the marketplace, of course. But it's not only your job to pick it, it's your job to execute it over and over, consistently. Winter, fall, spring, summer, hot, cold outside. When your clients are showing up, when they're not, when the algorithm makes a huge shift, when Facebook wants to make crazy updates to our advertising policies and algorithm, the Andromeda update, all these different things happen. Government gets shut down. Anything that's going on in the outside world, if any of these things are stopping you from actually executing the strategy that you chose, the person that you're called to serve, you need a system to make sure that those tasks get done day in and day out. Because guess what? That is the only way that you're going to keep clients long term and continue to re-sign clients and retain these clients after the initial program, and how you're going to continue to build your brand so other opportunities do come your way and you can actually build a sustainable business for years to come that maybe eventually you want to sell. And I'm gonna be honest with you, those things will never ever happen if you never implement an operating system for how you show up and execute as a CEO. But no worries, this is exactly why we're doing this video, okay? So you will now know exactly what a system like that looks like and actually like what's required inside of that system to make sure that you can execute. Now, these are some of the common things that I show up with coaches while they're operating their business and navigating through life. Certain things in your business may break, right? But also you're going to have certain emotions and certain feelings when things do happen. But that doesn't mean that you have to act on the way that you feel. So listen, if you don't control your emotions will control your decision. So if you feel like my ads aren't working, and I'm using quotations because do you even know how to actually identify when ads aren't working, right? So that may be a feeling that you have and then you panic and you turn the ads off, or you go inside of your ads manager and you start changing shit. Or if you had 1 month or 2 weeks or even 1 week where sales was a little bit lower than usual. Now you want to switch up your sales process because after 1 month or 1 week or 2 weeks, you feel like things need to change. So you go in there and change things only based off of feelings. You don't look at anything else. You just go based on how you feel. I feel like sales were low, so I need to do X, Y, and Z. Or you are doom scrolling on social media and you see a competitor's ads, or you see another person post something and they're posting before and after photos of their clients or even photos of themselves, and you start to compare your body to their body. You think you need to get a better body in order to make more money, and all of these different things start going on in your mind because you're comparing yourself to somebody else, not knowing that that person is dealing with their own internal battles and also their own problems inside of their business. And another thing I see is they react instead of lead. Most coaches are just reacting to noise and not executing on the vision. So when you start to experience all of those things, then you start to make emotional decisions and not data-driven decisions. And all of these different emotions, like when you allow these emotions to just start to control what you do and control who you are and how you're showing up, now you're out of alignment and you're no longer even looking at the data. You're probably not even tracking the data at this point. And you only make decisions based on how you feel. This is how people end up doing 10K 1 month or 15K 1 month. And then the next month, they're back down to 5K, or they're back down to 4K or 6K, right? Or they have like one really big month where they do 20,000 or 30,000. And then in the next month, they doing 5,000, right? And then the next month, they doing 4,000, 5,000, 4,000, 5,000, right? And it's just so inconsistent. It's all over the place. Now, the system that I use for myself and that I give to all of my clients from a personal operating perspective, I'll kind of break it down so you can understand the philosophy behind this system. And you can go ahead and copy it if you want and create. It's not the whole system, but it's, it's bits and pieces of it. And I want to share this with you because maybe you can try to create something for yourself so that you can start operating in alignment most of the time. Now, the first step is awareness. You have to recognize what you're feeling in real time. And eventually this is like just a muscle that you develop over time as a business owner, where you start to just become much more aware of like what's happening in your mind in real time. And now you're not necessarily like labeling these feelings, but you can say, okay, I'm frustrated, or I'm even overexcited, right? Because you can get too high and you can get too low. Neither one is good, okay? Because if you're too high, then you can start making irrational decisions, and making impulse decisions. And now you're spending way too much money on certain things that you don't even necessarily need for the business or even need in your personal life, right? Because you can go and have $100K month, and now you like, I want to go buy a car and I want to go do this and do that. And you spend all the money, and then the next month you do $5,000 again. And you ain't got no money saved up because you got too high. You may start making impulse decisions. And you can even say like, oh, like I was spending 10K a month and now you did 100K a month. And then the next month you want to go and spend $50,000 on some ads, right? You just went from 10,000 to 50,000. Like, let's first identify how you did it, right? And then let's go from there. But I'm just using that as an example because those things can happen if you get too high. Getting too low is not just bad, but also getting too high is. So we want to identify in real time, what are we actually feeling? And then step 2, separation. So we want to separate how we feel with the truth. Just because you feeling very excited and you brought all this new revenue into your business for that 1 month doesn't necessarily mean that you now have to start spending more money. And I'm gonna be honest with you, 2 years ago, I had the biggest month. And once I had that big month in my business, a lot of things started to break, right? And I was utilizing this system at the same time. So I didn't go and spend more money on ads. I didn't go and buy any type of luxury goods or anything materialistic like that. I recognized how I felt at the moment, because yes, I was excited, but also I'm like, okay, like, well, what's the truth? Right? Because normally when you have a really big month for the first time, something in your business is going to break. It's called growing pains. When you're growing, you're going to break through something in the business and you're going to create a brand new bottleneck. So what we want to do is identify what that bottleneck is, and then we want to come up with solutions to solve that problem. So that's why I said awareness needs to be the first thing that you discover when you're running this system, because yes, you want to be aware of how you feel, but you also want to be aware of what's happening in the business too. And then the next one is replace or release, right? Because once we can separate how we feel with the truth, now whatever those feelings are, I'm not saying to mask them or not to address them, but we address it and then we release it. Now, once we're able to release, now we want to align, then take action. So the reason why a lot of people procrastinate and they are, toxic cycle of trying this, stopping, trying this, then stopping, trying this, then stopping, or they get, a strategy and they have these mental blocks and they can't take action, is because they're trying to take action out of alignment, right? So what we want to do is we want to address these emotions. We want to release them, replace them with the emotions that we actually need. This gets us in the middle. Right here, we're poised, we're in alignment. We're not too high, we're not too low. So once we can actually get in the middle and we are in alignment, now it's easier for us to take action, because only then you can make decisions based on data, not emotion. If you're not in alignment, you're just making decisions based off of emotion. And this is why you're like a cat chasing its tail going in this circle and you're not going nowhere. It's because the decisions that you're making are all the wrong decisions. We can have a system like this that gets us in alignment and points us towards the data. Now we can actually make those data-driven decisions. And one thing that I used to see with some of the clients that I work with, like in the beginning stages, because this system is going to be new, right? Like it's a new habit that you have to build. And when people normally come to me, they haven't been tracking their KPIs consistently. So once they start tracking their KPIs consistently, that is something that they kind of struggle with, because they know exactly what the data is going to tell them. And sometimes they're afraid of the truth, right? Having a system like this takes courage, right? Because the truth is the only thing that is actually going to get you to your goals, right? The truth it's good. It lets us know exactly where our energy and our focus needs to go. So we only focus on the things that's going to move the needle in the direction of where you want to go. So don't be afraid to operate in alignment and to make data-driven decisions and to actually look at the data, all right, and make those decisions and allow the data to tell us what the truth is. Because the truth is not always going to be something that you want to hear. That's the thing. And this is why it's very important to have coaches and mentors who can actually help you navigate through those emotions and through those decisions, you know, to make sure that you're a high performing CEO. This is usually the difference between coaches doing 5 to 10K a month and the ones that are doing 20 to 50K plus a month. It ain't the strategy. It's not the client acquisition strategy. It's not the funnel. It's the CEO personal operating system. This allows you to be consistent, have emotional control, leadership, and decision making. Strategy only works when you execute it consistently. That's the only way that it works. You probably right now have a bunch of strategies that work really well just sitting in your email, just sitting there, sitting in your Google Drive. So clearly it can't be the strategy. That can't be the thing. It has to be something else, right? And it's how you operate as a CEO. You definitely need a system for that, because once you master your internal operating system as a CEO, like everything becomes easier. Client fulfillment, client acquisition, everything just becomes easier. Now, if you want help implementing a system like this in your business for how you operate as a CEO, as well as a client acquisition system, like our self-selling system, when we set up your ads, your sales systems, all the back end stuff, we help you launch so you can start generating leads and appointments within 7 days and enrolling high ticket clients within your first month. So if you are serious about scaling to 20 to 50K plus months with meta ads and sales systems, listen, just head over to my Instagram and DM me the word system so we can have a conversation and I can see if this system is aligned with where you are in the season and where you want to go. And we'll audit your entire business and audit how you operate as a CEO, see exactly what needs to be fixed and what needs to be optimized, come up with a custom game plan. And then as long as you're aligned with our core values and what we do here, then we can actually take you on as a client, install this into your business and help you scale to 20 to 50K plus months. I'll see you in the next video.